What about your children? Was there any segregation when you put them through school?
Yes. When my daughter started, let's say preschool/kindergarten here in Davenport at our church school, she was the only minority at the school, which was real interesting because when we came here to look at, before moving here, we came here to look at Palmer and see what kind of school we were going to put her in. I was excited because it was a 2-room schoolhouse. I was like, oh, wow, little house on the prairie. And our first time visiting that school, the teacher/principal tells me, there's a black church. And I was like, I know. In the Adventist system, you have 2 conferences. You have your general conference and you have the black conference. And so I kind of knew what she was talking about I knew when she said there was a black church. But I'm saying, why would you tell me that? You should be happy that we're here and trying to encourage us and try to keep us here. And so then after going to the black church and looking at their facility, which was nice, but they were in the basement of the of the church. And that lady tells us, why are you moving here? There's some jobs here. I'm like, okay. Well, so anyway, we ended up moving here. And so my daughter did end up attending the church school. And as I said, she was the only minority there. It was quite interesting because, like, when I would French braid her hair, they would rub her hair, to see how it felt. And it came to a point that our church couldn't afford a teacher, and our sister church, which was the predominantly black church, needed a facility because their student population was growing. So pastors decided to merge the two, because it would benefit both of us. Well, quite a few of our members at our church wasn't too happy about that merge, And there was some issue about, not sending their children because they didn't want them to learn about black history. And I was like, hold up. Nobody said anything when my child was the only minority at the school. And when you all would rub her hair, I said, nobody said anything about that. I said, I didn't say anything. And then my husband at the time had told him, he says, he said, when you go home tonight and you look up at that traffic light, remember there was a black man who invented it. And then I also proceeded to tell them, do you know the probability of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in the Quad Cities? And I don't know if you know about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. It was a movie with Sidney Poitier. And Sidney Poitier was an African-American male. And then his fiance was a white lady. And they were going to her parents. So it was like, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Because her parents didn't know that he was black.
That makes sense.
And so I can't think of the actress name at the time. And so that's what I was like, you don't know the probability, because it was a shock for me when I moved here to the Quad Cities to see the large percentage of interracial marriages. I was like, wow. I mean, especially coming from a predominantly black community. And where you see, most black people together, and to come here and see the interracial, it was like, whoa. So it was kind of overwhelming at one time, but and you get adjusted to it.
Use communication organization as a major.
Okay. When I was growing up, I really wanted to be a psychologist, okay? But I did have I love math and science. So going off to college, I was like, engineering sounds pretty good, or biochemistry. So when I first went off to college, my major was biochemistry. But I always had this engineering idea in my head. And so then I switched to mechanical engineering, because I love to tinker with things also and design things. So I stayed in it for about 3 years. And so then I left college and went back home. I had just dropped out of college. I was like, I thought I was in love at the time, so that's why I ended up dropping out of college. Don't do that. And so then I ended up meeting my husband, and he was like, you need to go back to school. And I was like, yeah. And he said, right now you need to just concentrate on getting out, not so much concentrating on a major. So he said, what would you be interested in? And I was like, maybe communication, maybe business. So he went and got a couple of majors, and he told me to look over them. And communication just seemed to fit. And he was like, that will be great for you. It fits your personality. You love to talk to people. You like organizing things. And so basically that's how I ended up in organizational communications. Every now and then I still want to go back to get that mechanical engineering degree. But as I get older, I'm like, I'll let one of my children do that.
How does dance come into all this?
I started dancing when I was in the 3rd grade. My mother took me to see a cousin perform, and she said, "You want to do this?" I said, "Yeah." And dance is just something. Dance is that stress reliever for me. When I can just put my foot on the dance floor and it just does something to me. And you can always convey a message through dance when you can't convey it anywhere else. You know, picking the right music, the right moves. It's something that anybody can get into. It really is. So, I love dance. If I can make money doing it, that's probably what I would be doing. But, right now it's just a hobby of mine.
Do you have any advice for me or for any of the people watching the interview?
Do I have any advice? Stay true to yourself. Treat people the way you want them to be treated. The way you want to be treated, rather. Just try to make the world a better place.